Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pastrami Nation Popcorn, the home of everything cinematic. My name is Nolan Smith, and joining us today is Rebecca Benson
Hello.
and the host of Pastrami Nation Popcorn, Kevin Hoskinson.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, me.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Yeah. How's you guys' New Year going so far? Everything going good?
We're alive.
Yeah.
You're alive. That's good.
How about you? Are you alive?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I'm alive, thinking about movies, the future, what's going to be happening soon, movies of the past, movies that we've just watched. And that's what we're mainly going to be talking about today. Just a couple movies that have kind of come on pretty big movies from last year, towards the end of the year. The really two big releases that both released on Christmas Day. First, we want to get, there's two of them we want to talk about specifically. But let's start with Wonder Woman. We all got a chance to watch Wonder Woman. We did have, watch it at home, HBO Max. So what did you guys think of Wonder Woman 1984? What are your guys' all-around thoughts about it?
Nope. That's all you.
It could have been far better. It could have been far, far better. What do you think?
Yeah, it was kind of a no-go for us.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong with the movie, and I know we'll get into that as we go, but I mean, there's very few redeeming qualities on it. But for a big DC movie and to close out the year with it, it was a disappointment for sure.
Very much a disappointment, especially, I mean, the first one I think was, it was praised kind of universally for being one of the better DC movies.
Right.
Towards the end, it kind of fell into, your basic DC territory, with the big action sequence, and it turned completely dark for some reason and became, but like, other than that, like, it was a solid movie. It was a solid DC movie. I think this didn't build on that at all. It kind of actually, I feel like it regressed itself a little bit. But I do feel like it in a way, I felt like it tried to do something different. Like it tried too hard to be different and do its own thing, that it just kind of other way, as opposed to, staying on course with what it was supposed to do. It had some cool, I thought Pedro Pascal did pretty good. It was kind of weird seeing him without the Mandalorian helmet.
Right.
Voice.
And we're going to talk spoilers, right?
Yeah, I think we could talk spoilers. It's
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So spoiler warning, guys. Yeah, just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Spoiler
I mean, just
warning.
go watch it. But I mean, go ahead, Kevin.
I feel like, and I feel like it did take away a lot of the story from Wonder Woman herself, and it kind of put it more on the villains this time around, which is totally cool. But it just didn't. Tonally, it was all over the place. It didn't really work. It fell flat. Like, it started out really cool. Like, it started out like I was really excited. I was like, you see the opening scene when they're on the, doing the Olympic stuff and doing the competition and stuff. That was really exciting. That was fun. But then you go to 1984 and I still have no idea why they chose 1984, because it didn't have anything particularly to do with the plot. It just seemed like a cool setting, cashing in on nostalgia and just kind of putting in that time period just to put it in that time period. I don't know. What did you guys think about that aspect of it? Were you guys sold on any of the 1984 stuff? Like, did it have to be based in 1984 to work?
I think it tried too hard, actually, because you have, a strong already female lead, and then they brought in a female villain. And so when you think about 1984, in the 1980s, women were starting to go back to work, kind of changing the dynamics of the workplace. So I think it just, that hidden meaning, they just tried way too hard to make it, deeper than it really needed to be.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes total
sense. It's a good point, because history is what it is. We can't change it.
Right.
And women didn't have, that many opportunities during that time. And I think one part that took me right out of the movie at the very beginning was that female security guard running, screaming, stop. And if you think of the 80s, like, people had that, closed-minded way of thinking, like, oh, women can't do that job.
Right.
So right at the beginning, I was like, oh, so it's not an accurate representation of the 80s. I mean, they tried with the clothes and the colors and whatnot, They tried really hard, and it showed in the wrong ways. The breakdancing worked in, and
Right.
I thought seeing the mall was pretty cool because it had that very classic 80s feel for a mall.
Yeah, it did.
But I don't quite get why that time period either. I think you're right when you said like it didn't. The story was more about the other characters and not Wonder Woman, because they kind of, in my eyes, they took away a lot from Wonder Woman. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
you have like the strongest superhero in the DCU, and you're making her pine over Chris Pine, and
Which didn't help her character.
Right.
at all.
no, it's very out of character. Very, another thing that takes you out of it.
Mhm.
But also the part where she's hiding the plane, and she's like, my father taught me this, or my father showed me this. What father? Like,
Mhm.
you're created by clay from the Amazons.
That is very true. That is a point that I had seen brought up, and I was like, yeah, wait a second. I didn't even think about it while watching the movie for some reason. It didn't hit me till like afterwards. I was like, that makes total sense.
So is there all these like Amazonian women that are like running the entire show, and there's this big fat man just sitting at home and like, oh, bring me a beer. Like,
right. It has mixed messages. Like, well, what are you trying to show? You like the strong women are doing the Olympian Games, and then all of a sudden she's pining away and letting Max lord over her. You're like,
Mhm.
hold on.
Yeah.
it was very out of character for her, especially when we've seen Wonder Woman and we've seen Batman versus Superman and unfortunately Justice League, but all of them showed her in a very strong positive light.
Mhm.
This no, she was supposed to be this lovesick puppy for God knows how long,
Yeah.
and then the whole, what did you say?
I'll never love again.
I'll never love again. Yeah, like, wow, like way to get all Lifetime movies on us.
Right.
Um,
Quickly, and I look like the way. Something that bothered me was obviously all of that. Made her pining over Chris Pine, like you said. But the way they kind of brought him back, and
oof.
look, I'm all for like the romance angle, like like Captain America, for example, with him and Peggy, like that was super sweet, super cool. But that would be like akin to them just randomly bringing back Peggy, in modern day for no reason whatsoever, so he can pine over her even more.
Or even worse, taking Peggy and putting her soul inside of Black Widow,
Right,
and saying like, "But it's Peggy Carter."
right.
Then all of a sudden, you're magically attracted to this outer person. And she's like, "That's all I see is Steve." No, like you were that strange dude.
Like it's super weird, and like it just it didn't work. Like they didn't have to bring Steve back. Like Steve didn't have to come back. I understand he's Steve and he's kind of Steve Trevor. He's her, relationship and like
sidekick.
sidekick almost. I understand that aspect of it, but I mean it passed. If they were going to do that, just put her back in, back in the World War II, right? World War II. Put her back in that setting.
Right,
I mean,
find some way for him to have cheated death.
yeah, like it
I mean,
just,
it's more plausible than putting his soul inside some strange man on a futon.
right, exactly. And the fact that she was finding a weird guy that wasn't even like, and she seemed to fall for it pretty quickly too.
Like within 5 minutes, like, and then when he's like, "You want to see my futon?" You're like,
yeah,
horrible pickup line.
super weird, super just like kind of awkward. I didn't buy it, and then it had that weird lull in the middle, like a good hour of just like nothing happening. And like, yeah, I understand you're setting up characters and stuff, but it just didn't take off. And even the finale and like the final fight scene, all that, the fight scenes throughout, I thought that the desert chase was kind of cool, with the car, with the trucks and everything, and they're chasing and stuff. I thought that was pretty fun. But like once it got to the end, like her and Cheetah, I just was like, I don't care.
Well, Cheetah was kind of weird, forced character, weird lines.
Throw her in here.
Yeah,
we need another female.
And she's like, "Well, you've always got what you wanted." Well, you've only known her like a week or what? Like, and here she was talking to Diana like she knows her, but I mean, Kristen Wiig did what she could with it, but I mean, I blame the writing.
Because
that's what it was written to be.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think like I love Kristen Wiig. I think she could have done amazing. Like I think I was really kind of excited to see her take on a role like this. You know, I think it was different, but then it just kind of fell apart super quick. And I don't know if any of it had to do with like DC's interference or if it was just because like I said before, I really like Patty Jenkins. I think she's a solid director. I think she knows how to tell a story. And I just don't know what happened. I don't know. Did really good with the first one. She, like I said, she knows how to tell a story. It just
Didn't land.
It just didn't
So,
land.
if you had to pick a favorite part, what would it be? Or favorite aspect of the movie, what would it be?
I honestly think my favorite aspect of it was actually Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. I thought he was fun. I thought he was like just chewing it up and just being goofy. And I feel like a lot of that on his part, I feel like his performance was kind of out of line with the rest of the movie because I feel like he kind of was in on the joke, you know, so he just took it over the top. But I feel like everybody else was kind of like, this is serious, guys. Let's just take this seriously. But I feel like he was just like having fun, hamming it up, just being that goofy guy. But the rest of the cast was just, like I said, taking it way too seriously. And yeah, he was my favorite part. What about you guys?
He was mine too.
Yep, that was going to be mine. Max Lord was easily the best part, and that's saying something because I mean, if you're like an old DC fan, Max Lord's been around for a while, you know, and he's never been that dynamic of a character. You know, he was like the benefactor for the Justice League International, and in like Infinite Crisis, like he broke bad and like shot Blue Beetle in the head and killed him, and turned supervillain right then. This is like in the 2000s, and it ended with Wonder Woman like having him by the neck, saying like, you know, you need to stop what you're doing, and he's like, I'm not going to stop, and she's like, snap, and just ends him. So to take a character like that, because they took more of the pre-crisis one, because he wasn't like bloodthirsty or psychotic or anything. He was just very greedy. But I much prefer this version. Like he was great, he was funny, you know, and he's Mando. So I mean, thank God we have all those memes now. They're like, do it, and he turns around and he does the helmet on. This is the way. You're like,
Dude, Pedro Pascal's I know he's kind of been around for a long time, or for a little bit now. Like, you know, I mean, even before Mando, he's had small roles and everything. But he had 2 movies come out on Christmas Day. The first one was Wonder Woman 1984. And then the other one was We Can Be Heroes. I think, We Can Be Heroes.
Is he in there too?
He's in that, yeah. Oh. I haven't got a chance to finish that yet. So
I haven't started it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I said, it's in the vein of like Spy Kids and like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, like Robert Rodriguez.
Is it Robert Rodriguez?
It is Robert Rodriguez, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he did. I mean, yeah, that's a whole other topic for a whole other episode.
Well, I got a flip side question to the best thing. So what was part of Wonder Woman for you?
What was the worst part of Wonder Woman for me? Any scene that didn't have Maxwell Lord. That's pretty much it.
Well, that's true.
No, I think, gosh, that's a tough one. I think it was just that lull in the middle. I just can't get over just how nothing.
They're trying to dress them up with
like,
Ken doll.
Yeah, like nothing happened for like a good like solid like hour or so, and it was just kind of blah. I'd have to say that was my least favorite thing about it was kind of its pacing and like how it started out great, then it just flatlined, and then it tried to go up again, but never quite moved up high enough. What about you guys?
Definitely the whole fashion show, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Toy Story 3 with Ken and Barbie, you know.
It was very cringeworthy, I agree.
Yeah. So that one, and
Are you gonna steal it?
the whole I'll Never Love Again, because I started on the whole like Titanic, you know. I'll never let go, that kind of thing. And then the third one was
You're gonna steal it.
when she's okay.
Go ahead.
He still makes fun of me because when she's first flying in the sky, and I said Diana, and then you hear Steve Trevor's voice. I'm like, no, I can't be right.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And that is the worst scene for me. That I'm gonna learn to fly from a pilot, even though I'm created from the gods and could do it anyway. Like it was bad and predictable. Bad. But also on favorite parts would definitely be the Easter egg at the end.
Yes.
Oh yes, the credits.
Yeah,
Credit
that
scene.
was
I thought that.
super cool to see.
That was my favorite part of the entire movie. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have said that. They're like, that was the best part about the whole thing. Like people were freaking out because they thought it was super cool, and I thought it was really cool too. I was nice and surprised.
Because I kept telling him throughout the movie, I'm like, we need a cameo. We need a cameo.
Yeah, I thought they did really good with that, and yeah. So who knows? They've greenlit a third one. So
Yes, I saw that.
yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I'm curious. I like to hold out hope that they're gonna do good by us. I don't know what the setting is gonna be. No one knows if it's gonna. I would like to see it take place in modern day. I would
Well,
really.
if you do it anytime around 84, keep Max Lord in there and let him form Justice League.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
Let him get Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and Metamorpho and all those characters nobody really cares about, Fire and Ice and stuff like that. Martian Manhunter, but people care about him. But get all those in there. Get or even Justice League Detroit, which is another grade B team. But give him his band of heroes like he could try to do like a redemption act.
Right.
I think
that would be cool. I think that would be really cool because at the end you get that obviously the vibe. Well, spoiler, so we can talk about it. When he comes, when he's trying to find his son and stuff like that. Like that was a pretty intense moment right there. But you can tell he hopefully saw the error of his ways for now at least. And,
I think so. I mean, he's kind of a jerk during the movie when he was like, "How many weekends do I have this kid?" You're like, "Oh, man.
Yeah,
poor Alistair, he's right there," and he was named Alistair. I mean, poor kid.
Yeah.
So
That was.
He could be Al. You can call him Al.
But yeah, so if you guys were to give it a rating, 1 to 5 pastrami nations, what would you give it? Be honest.
Ladies
I
first.
doubt DC and Warner Brothers is watching this, to be honest with you. So who knows though?
I give it a 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2.
Yeah, I give it a 2. 2 sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bumped up. It would have been a 1.5.
Yeah, I actually think on Letterboxd, I gave it a 1.5.
Oh.
So we'll see. But anyways, let us know what you guys thought of Wonder Woman 1984. If you guys liked it, that's fine, totally cool.
I know a lot of people that actually really enjoyed the movie, which is cool because they saw it from whatever perspective they saw it from, and that made it enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, I guess it was just the hype. Like, this is going to be good. It's Wonder Woman.
It's Christmas.
It's the big superhero movie that we never got this year.
Yeah,
and it flopped. But let us know. Let us know what you thought.
Yeah, please. And definitely. So let's talk about another one that released on Christmas. One that I think we're all in agreement that was total opposite of Wonder Woman. On the other side of this scale was Soul, Disney Pixar Soul.
Soul, going into somebody else's body.
Oh, that's true. There's a good little parallel there. That's the only parallel. But Soul had soul. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we all are in agreement that Soul was awesome, and it's again spoilers, I think, for everybody all around.
He dies. Yeah,
he dies. So Joe, he's a jazz pianist, and finally gets his big break, and then he just falls down a manhole and dies. Or well, he doesn't actually die. Then he's in this weird limbo state of. He goes to the after.
The Great Before?
Yeah.
The Great Before?
Well, no, he goes to the Great Beyond first.
Oh, Great Beyond first, and then the Great Before with the Jerry.
Yeah, and then he falls he tries to escape, gets into the Great Before where he meets 22, who's this, the Great Before is this place where unborn souls are being trained to be souls to go into human bodies.
Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. I never even thought of that kind of thing.
Man, that was so cool. I really liked the way that it was very. It wasn't like I envisioned it, but I think if I was to create something like that, that's what my idea of something like that would be, if that makes sense. It just transcended so many boundaries in that one area. You had all the Jerrys and the Terry,
my favorite part of the movie is the Jerry's and the
Jer-
explanation of like this is something you can understand,
Right.
like the simplistic drawing.
Exactly. I thought it was really cool, like how it wasn't, a lot of people have this specific view of the afterlife, depending on what, religion or background or whatnot. But Pixar was able to just kind of do like it wasn't, it was kind of all around all these different, mythos and religions and everything kind of blended into one space, which kind of, represented everybody. I thought that was really cool. And it was, and then, yeah, so that area was really cool, like where they're all like watching the videos on how to be souls and stuff. And I thought 22, who was voiced by Joe's voiced by Jamie Foxx, and 22 is Tina Fey, and I thought they were both incredible together. Especially in that area. And yeah, 22, she's rambunctious, I guess you can say. Kind of cynical about life. She does, or about wanting to live. Like she has everything she needs. There's no reason for her to be born. She has no desire to live a human life.
Right. Before she even knows what a human life really is, which is
exactly,
really cool.
Exactly.
And then it was the simple things that got her.
And that was the beautiful part about it.
Yep. The laying over the vents and having the wind blow up, the eating the pizza. Yeah. The things that we take for granted.
Yeah, that was like one of the biggest surprises for the movies, like for the movie that got me, was when they came to Earth, and she was him and he became the cat, which I thought was super clever and super funny. Like the part where they go to his apartment and he's the cat and he gets into the sunlight and he like grabs on his back and like can't help himself, buzzing on the sunlight. I thought that was really funny and clever, and the movie kind of takes these weird turns that you don't expect, which I think is really cool. And that's Pixar for you, though. They're always making these really cool, smart movies that make you think and make you almost want to be a better person a lot of the times, which is really cool. It's something that kids and adults can all enjoy. Or normally their movies are aimed, they're kids movies that adults can enjoy. This one I kind of found to be the opposite. This one is more of an adult movie that kids can enjoy.
Yeah, my kiddo was kind of stumped. She's like, so what was the purpose? That's
right.
the point.
Right.
She was kind of, what? She was expecting like the concrete ideas, the baking, the music, but she kind of got lost a little bit at the end.
Yeah. So did my kids. My kids did the same thing. And they, just real quick, we're talking about the music. The music is obviously a massive part of this movie. Mm-hmm. The jazz and the score and everything is just incredible. Like they went all out with it. Like John Baptiste, he did the jazz aspects of the score, which I thought was beautiful. And when like Joe was playing the piano and stuff, like that was all him. Like he, wrote all that, conducted all that. And then the score, the score other than that was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who, obviously people know from, Trent, they're both of them 9 Inch Nails, which seems like a super strange like combination, but I think
super cool.
What's that?
Super cool though. Super cool.
Cool, man. Like Trent Reznor is just this weird genius. And even if you listen to 9 Inch Nails albums, they are very like feeling, like you have to feel them and like experience them to really enjoy them, and I think he brings a lot of that to it. And yeah, I think the whole idea behind the movie, kind of finding your passion and how to what kind of lengths you're willing to go to that passion and what life is really about, finding your spark. I thought it was legitimately life-changing.
Right. I think the part actually that got me the most was the lost soul. When that's all she had surrounding her were those voices. And now with, social media, and that's all you're getting, is that negative, the negative thoughts, the negative talk, and it's towering over you, and you just can't get past it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's that scene particularly really kind of hit me because, it's like, people deal with like depression and anxieties and things like that. And that to me perfectly kind of showed what it was like in a, you can see it, you can feel it from her emotions in that area. And I thought that was like super, just like that, like a lot of that, like I don't want to get too personal on here, but a lot of that just like it just hit you, you're like that's how you describe how you feel to people sometimes using that analogy. And I felt like they, that aspect of it, I thought that was super clever, super great. And the scene, like, when he realized, when they're sitting on this, he's sitting on the, him as her, Joe as, in 22 is Joe, she's sitting on the steps, and they have the opportunity to go back, and switch bodies. And she was like, I don't want to go. Like, what if I just like just hanging around and just looking at the sky and like just taking a walk or whatever. And he's like, that's just stuff you do. Like, that's just stuff. But then like, you realize like that's what life is about, like enjoying your life, enjoying everything around you. Your life is not your job. And I thought it was super powerful, and beautiful too. So yeah.
Right. And on that lost soul part, I think one of the biggest things was it wasn't just the voices beating her down. Like, she was saying it. It was that negative self-talk influenced by all those people. And I think that was big to see, because she was buying into it. She believed it. She was saying it.
She did. And that was, that's, I think that's how, you look at something like Inside Out, which really kind of was like this. I felt like was a spiritual successor to that. It kind of just took it to the next level. Obviously, Joe's like a middle-aged man, and Riley, she was like a 13, 14-year-old girl. But that's one thing I feel like Pixar excels at, is that kind of way to explain emotions. Like, not necessarily have to explain them either, just show them and just display what they're like. And I thought, Pete Docter, he directed Inside Out too, so like he has that kind of really strong connection to emotions and stuff like that. And I thought it was really, really cool to see on screen.
Thankfully, I didn't cry like I normally do at Pixar movies, but that one particular, the lost soul, when she is the lost soul, that one really got to me. And that's the one that made me pause and be like, I totally fall into that. I totally buy into those voices, even myself, manipulating those voices.
Absolutely. And I think, it was super powerful. And I think the thing about Soul is it's not a movie you're going to react to right away. So I don't think it's a movie you're not going to cry in necessarily. It's not going to tear you apart on the inside while you're watching it. It takes maybe like 5-10 minutes after you've seen it and turned it off to be like, what am I doing? Like, what is all this about? Like, what is going on? And that's when you start questioning everything. And I think that's the brilliance of it too. It has that rewatchability, which kind of, after you kind of figure it all out, and not that like it's a puzzle, hard to figure out movie, but once you kind of know what it's about, like you go back and watch it and you're like, like this is, you get to actually see what he's doing in his life to really feel that way, to ignore everything else around him. And, I just thought it was incredibly well done, and highly recommend it to anybody who has Disney Plus or, is going to get Disney Plus. So again, what would you guys give it if you were to rate it?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Definitely at least a 4.5, if not a 5.
Yeah, I was leaning at 4.5.
I think I gave it a 4.5. 4.5 is definitely the way to be. I think I don't think I went all the way to 5, because I did feel like, not in a bad way at all, and not that I'm judging the movie on this, but it is really hard for kind of whole families to follow. Like even my kids, they were kind of like, they understood it, but they didn't really attach themselves to it as much as they did with like an Inside Out, or like, pretty much any other Pixar movie. But otherwise it was an incredible movie. I highly recommend anybody checking it out. Yeah. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about Soul, or?
Just go watch it.
Go watch
It's
it.
fantastic.
Yes, it is great. Definitely check it out. Yeah, I also want to talk about one more movie. This is kind of to anyone watching, this is kind of more of just a movie-based special today. We're not, movie news and stuff has been slow, so we haven't really had a whole lot of that stuff. We just wanted to talk some movies and let y'all know what we thought. So we did recently. I got to watch Love and Monsters, which is a Paramount movie that just came out to DVD and Blu-ray yesterday, which is Tuesday. It's a really, it's kind of, so here's the elevator pitch. So actually, it's not necessarily an elevator pitch, a little bit longer than an elevator pitch, but the movie starts. I'm not going to give away spoilers. Kind of give you the basic premise of the movie. The movie starts. The world is kind of, you get this really cool, like hand-drawn opening, like almost like a comic book style. Not necessarily comic books, but it's really cool. And this kid, whose name is Joel, he's the main character played by Dylan O'Brien. He's kind of telling you about how the world ended, which was basically an asteroid was, like I said, this is all in the first 5 minutes of the movie. An asteroid was headed towards Earth. We did what we did best. We shot rockets at it, tons of rockets at it, blew up the asteroid, but with rockets, radiation comes down into the atmosphere. So all the stuff came down, mutated all the bugs on the planet into these weird, monstrous, Mothra type. So humanity's pretty much all but wiped out at this point. They hide in bunkers. They make these colonies, hide in bunkers. It's kind of like I really want to compare it to Zombieland, how like you have the survivor and you have like the monsters out there. And so basically the movie is about him. He fell in love with this girl, like literally the day that the asteroid was going to come. They got separated. And they've been living apart for like 8 years. He comes in contact with her again, starts talking to her again. It's like high school sweetheart stuff. And so he wants to go see her. He needs to see her. He needs her back in his life. So he goes on this mission, which is, I think it's only like, no, not only, it's like 80 miles to get from one point to another. But this kid, he's got no survival skills at all. Like he's just totally just like, he knows how to cook and he knows how to clean. And he's just kind of like that kid who just plays video games and just hangs out, I don't say he's a kid. He's like maybe 16, I'd say 16, 17. So anyways, he ventures out and starts his journey to go see this girl. The movie it's just kind of like a really fun kind of, first off, it's a movie you can watch with your family. It's a really kind of fun it's kind of like entry-level monster movie horror. You know what I mean? Like it's not scary. Most of it's based during the day. Him walking, giant monster comes up. He's got to figure out a way to defeat it. Like it's just these really cool monster designs, bug designs. They all look super cool. Follows him on his journey. He gets his dog on the way. The dog, he names it Boy, and the dog kind of becomes this. The dog was honestly my favorite part of the movie. Which I think I wrote that in the review. He was like, he stole every scene he was in. Again, none of this is spoiler stuff, you can see it on the cover and in the credits. Michael Rooker makes an appearance.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's where I kind of started to see the Zombieland vibes, because he kind of reminded me of Tallahassee, and Joel kind of reminded me of Columbus. So that's a kind of like character kind of reference I was able to come up with. Was it, if you want to see how Joel's character is, he's basically Columbus in Zombieland. Like he's got that kind of like awkward shyness kind of thing. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Like it's like 2 hours long. Maybe I'd say a good like 10-15 minutes a little too long maybe, but I think it works and it's a lot of fun. And it's like I said, it's an action adventure movie you can watch with your kids, you can watch with the family, nothing overtly crazy or anything happening. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Even if you don't have kids, go check it out. It's just goofy fun. I think I wrote that it's basically like it's Zombieland, just not as violent or brutal. It's PG-13 with like this really cute kind of like It's produced by Sean Levy, who did like Stranger Things, and he's
Mhm.
he's directed a lot of like, you know, cutesy kind of movies. So it's kind of got this really cool like I keep on describing thing that to John Hughes. You know, he kind of has a certain style with his movies. I'm reading Ready Player One right now, by the way, and there's a lot of John Hughes stuff in it. So I'm in this John Hughes mindset. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. It had this sweet kind of romance in the middle of it. And it was fun. You know, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD now. And you'll be able to read the review soon on pastramination.com.
You check that out, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think, you know, unless there's anything else you guys wanted to talk about today,
I don't think so.
I think that'll about do it. Thank you guys for joining me, and we're all talking. And for all your latest movie news, reviews, and more, check out pastramination.com. Yeah, I'm Kevin.
Nolan.
Rebecca.
Rebecca, and have a good night, everybody.
Bye.